wanted to talk about today how I got here to the countryside and what simple living means for me. So I started my Hungarian YouTube channel a couple of years ago, but then after I was not inspired by Course in Miracles anymore. Unfortunately, I deleted some videos, but at the end of 2017 I uploaded the audios of the translated The Way of Heart materials, and this friend of mine with whom I live now, he found one of these audios on YouTube and he contacted me at the end of 2018, but at that time I had no capacity for something new because I was healing from a past relationship, and also my grandfather was sick and I have to look after him, and a couple of months later he passed, so there was more space then later, and in every 6 or 8 months or so this friend contacted me and we had a little Facebook chat, but I never thought that something like this would happen. So you really cannot imagine what anything is or what it is for when you have a prompt, when you have a nudge from inside to contact someone, because it can be a build-up to something beautiful later. And fortunately he was pretty persistent is the word. So when I started the Hungarian YouTube channel in March of 2019, and I committed to a 30-day video series just for myself to get used to creating videos. Then he found me again and contacted me again, and then last summer he told me that one day he woke up with a very strong feeling to write to me, and he sent me 2 photos from the countryside here in our backyard. And when the decision was finally made, as I talked about it in my video, the story one, then those images popped up in my mind, and I was very inspired to contact him and see whether it is time to join or something like that. And then all of this started, and now I'm here in the countryside like I wanted to for almost 5 months now. And it's so good. So it's very interesting too, and I wanted to share that because when I watch when I watched videos like this, one of the number one questions used to be or is, how can you afford that? Of course. How can you live in the countryside? Where does the money come from? And for me, I have to say that's a little bit of backstory here, that because I grew up with an attitude from mainly from my mother, that if we take care of you financially, then you have to do what we say. So this control or this context resulted in me wanting to be completely independent, and so I'm not dependent on someone else financially. But of course I was, because I worked for companies, for multinational companies, but still at that time that was perfect for me. and and because of this deeply seated point of view and sentence in my mind, I always dated guys who had less money than me, or we went 50-50. So I couldn't allow a man to take care of me, to provide for me financially, because I was so afraid of being controlled. So I had those relationships 50-50, or even I had relationships when I lent money to the guy. So completely the other way around. But at that time, that's how I felt safe. So for me, what works now is to have my own money stream, so to speak, and that's coming in right now from the translations related to the way of mastery. And at the same time, at the end of 2019, I decided that I would like to experience something else. So I listened to YouTube channels like that, and one thing that helped me a lot, which I have to say it's a little bit extreme, but that was needed for me to come back to the middle. And I'm gonna link that book in the description. And it was a book from Shira 7, called I Bring Nothing to the Table. So it was a complete turnaround in my mind, and then according to that, what I attracted to myself was experiences like that. So I could walk through these rings of fear, and I could allow myself to be more in a feminine role, I mean in the traditional sense. But meanwhile I continued with the translations and Hungarian YouTube videos. There were some donations from that too, and also it's interesting that the first this new dynamic relationship for me was working also because the man I was with liked to be very much in this role of kind of saving the woman, not because he wanted to provide for the woman, but he he felt that he's needed. So there were, of course, other things too while it didn't work, mainly because he had two children and I didn't felt like being in that mother role. But also later on I have seen for myself that I don't want to be provided for because someone pities me, but because it's coming from his heart. And I know, yes, that it is also about healing daddy issues, so to speak, and a lot of themes that are in this package around allowing love to come in and to see that I don't have to work so hard for it, not so many efforts. And there's a lot of spiritual work, so to speak, but I would rather call it allowing, and not working on it, but making a decision to have a different experience, and then things could turn around. So right now, that's, so to speak, my other source of income, so to speak, income in a traditional sense. So I do not pay for accommodation that is being taken care of by this friend. And there are different layers to our relationship. So he's also a friend. It also feels like sometimes he's like a child to me that I couldn't taken care of, and now it opens my heart to, in a way, I'm feeling very motherly towards him, but also it feels like I am a daughter to him, and he's like a father who can take care of his child finally, because he couldn't before for some reason in another life. So we both feel that it is some kind of a process of making things right, or in the terminology of the Way of Mastery and A Course in Miracles, we could say that there is a strong sense of atonement, but in a joyful way. So of course there are challenges and things that are coming up, but there is such a strong feeling that love holds this, and love is the context where the healing can happen. So of course someone can say that, it's so easy for you, but fear is fear. So if there is anything we are afraid of, that's the challenge, to decide to walk through that. And it doesn't matter which form it takes. So it can be walking through the fear of being provided for by a man, or walking through the fear of starting a business, or starting any project that our heart is calling for. So just keep in mind that that the main thing is always transcending fear and taking the steps that are given to do that, and you cannot judge the form. So for you it can look a completely different way, and it is so individualized how it looks. So we can listen to the stories of other people who inspire us or who live a life that calls us, but our journey will look a certain way. And if we try to copy the form, that can be a dead end. I mean, in a certain sense, there is no dead end because we learn from it and it's just an experience, but just an expression that we cannot copy the form. So, and the other thing that I wanted to speak about is what simple living means for me right now. And because I feel called to live a life close to nature, and like I said, this relationship is just starting to come back in. This setup for me right now is a transition, and like I said, I'm not trying to copy others who think that simple living means living off-grid completely, for example. I'm considering what works for me right now, and I feel it's very symbolic now that like one part now is completely open towards nature. Like I said, it's the countryside and the river in our backyard, and then the other side is the small village. Circa 500 people live here or so. And there is a little shop in this village, and also we have electricity, internet, washing machine, of course. What else? And a boiler, so there is warm water and a shower. So for me these things are important now. I feel that I wouldn't be gentle to myself to live so simple, so to speak, that I don't have these conveniences, because it makes life easier right now, and I don't feel any desire right now to try a certain life without these things. But we do have the heating only, this fireplace, so we don't have anything else right now, even though it is planned to have an electricity heating too, in case we want to leave the house, and then we would come back to a completely cold house, and it's much harder to start a fire when there was no fire in the fireplace for a couple of days. So that would be like a way to make that easier, but the process is really slow now with that. So right now we only have the fireplace, and for me that is a completely different experience with nurturing the fire. And I enjoyed very much learning how to start a fire, how much air it needs, how much wood it needs, when to refill it, and these kind of things. And just connecting with the fireplace is, I feel like I have a certain relationship with it. So it's a living being for me, this fireplace, and it teaches me, and I listen and I learn. So I love this experience with it. So for some people, simple living may mean something else. This is how it looks for me, and I'm content with that right now. But also I like gardening very much, so I love to do that and be more self-sustainable. I think it's the word. So this is what I wanted to share in this video, and I encourage you to find your own way of simple living and get clear on it, what it means for you. There is no badge or price to lie to yourself about what you need and what is comfortable for you. And we can get out of our comfort zone, but not stretching ourselves too much, because that is not gentle. And being gentle on this journey of awakening and embodying our divine self is a number one for me. So I hope you found something valuable in this video, and let me know in the comments if you feel like how your morning routine looks like, what simple living means for you, what's your biggest fear. So anything related to this video is very much welcome. So with this, peace be with us, as Joshua would say, and have a wonderful day. I see you in the next video.